I surprised it. So your knuckle is going to fit into this groove down here, which is right up against the bat, and your left middle finger is going to go right into that, and you're going to line these up. And so this is the motion that you want, is this finger can either be out like this, or it can go in with you, depending on how large of a piece you're going to be pulling up. As if you have a larger piece, you're not going to be able to keep everything outside and reach the bottom. But for right now, we can. So this is the motion you're going to do. This knuckle is right here on the bat head, and then this middle finger is where the base is. The top, you're sitting right on the base. And there's about this much difference because your base is about 1/4 of an inch. So you want to have your fingers offset. You don't want to bring them up even like this, or you don't want it to bring up like this. And I'll show you why in a minute. So stay tuned. So this knuckle is down on the bat head, and your middle finger is going to press and squeeze that knuckle, but it's going to be up about 1/4 of an inch. Your middle finger needs to lead the way. While I'm pulling up, I am also going to be pulling into the center. So I'm actually like pretending that I'm moving this wall over to that wall. Okay. So lots of water, lots of lubrication on there. And here I go. Can you see?
Yep, that's good.
And I'm just going to squeeze and bring this up. Now I started to lose a little bit of water there, but I didn't want to pull up yet. So you can see how I've collected clay. So water is very important. If you find that you're coming up and you're just, it's starting to pull because you don't have enough water on there, just gently, you could be right here, just gently loosen everything and pull away. Grab your water, put it back on, and then resume where you were. It's important that you understand that you're going to do this several times. This is just one pull. I went from here to here, that's one pull. My next pull can go from here to probably here. And then after that, it's probably going to be 1/2 inch or 1/4 of an inch as I go up with each pull. Okay, so lots of water in there. I'm going to make my groove down here at the base, at the bat. Knuckle, first knuckle in there. Notice my thumb is tucked right in here, and it's touching this finger, this hand here. And my middle finger is going to be here, and the pot's in between. And without the thumb being attached somehow, I could easily lose the control that I need. This anchors everything. Okay, it's very important to have your thumb attached somehow to this part of your hand. Even if it's way up here, I could still pull this up together. This is your motion that you want. It's nice and even, okay? So again, my thumb is touching somewhere on this hand, and it's kind of holding that. And my middle finger is pressing against that knuckle, and I'm going to squeeze. And you can see that ridge that I'm picking up. And I get up to the top, and it wants to bobble a little bit because I've run out of moisture. Okay, so that just brought it up a little bit more. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put my sponge down in the bottom, and I'm going to take out some of that water, and I'm also going to compress the bottom with my sponge. And what I mean by compressing the bottom is running my sponge back and forth from the center out to the wall, to the center, to the wall, to the center. And that is also lining up all those little platelets and strengthening the base. If you don't do this properly, or if you leave water in the base of your cup or your container, your vessel, it can crack. And you've just put a lot of work in this and you don't want it to crack. That would be a crack pot. Okay. So at this point, I can get my hand in there and barely touch my hand. So I'm going to go one more pull like this. And again, my elbows are tucked in. If you could see me, I would look like a T-Rex. My elbows are tucked into my body. And I'm leaning over, kind of straight over the piece. And up I go. You can see it's starting to wobble a little bit, and that's why I want you to get it as centered as possible when you first start. There we go. Now, I'm not quite sure how tall that is, but I'd say that's close to being 7 inches, which is what you need for this when you first do a cylinder. Okay? Now, can you look inside here? Let me get this straight. This is what your inside should look like. You look down that inside wall. The inside wall should match the outside wall. And I have a flat bottom, and I like a 90-degree angle up. Okay? Now, if your wall on the inside tilts in like this and your outside wall goes straight out or even out like this, that means you have a lot of clay down here at the bottom that you can still pick up and add to the height of your cylinder. So at this point, this is tall enough, I am going to stand up to bring this up. And I can probably get another, I could probably get another ½ inch, maybe even an inch. Lots of water. Again, I brace my elbows against my body and I lean over. At this point, it's kind of like flying blind. I'm using my instruments to guide me, so to speak. My hands, I get that groove down here. My hands cannot be tied together with my thumb. I cannot reach down here and do this. My hand isn't big enough, okay? So they're separate. And so I have to do this sort of motion. And how I'm able to do that is I lock my elbows and I use my back to pull myself up. All the way up. So here we go. I'm grabbing and pinching a little bit, not a lot, but just enough. And there it goes. It's starting to wobble a little bit because of that. As soon as I can, I'll stick my thumb out there. Oopsie. There we go. I'll stick my thumb out there to kind of steady that. All right, you might think, oh dear, what's going on? Well, this is what ribs are for. That'll help steady that, get that back up to straight. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, see how it's starting to go out? I want to cone that back in. And when I cone something in, I simply grab it here and kind of start to squeeze it up. And bring this in. I'm also going to slow this down because it is going just a little too fast, and that might have been what that issue was. Because that wasn't supposed to happen. But it also shows you that as soon as something like that happens, just pull away from the piece. Don't jerk, just pull away. Use a rib or a tool. And you can pretty much get it straightened up again. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to go just a little bit faster. Like that. Because it's actually probably about 3/4 of an inch, or 3/8 of an inch down here till about here. And then I'm at about a 1/4 of an inch. So it thins out right in here. Which is something you'll probably do when you first start out. So again, I'm squeezing here, and then I'm going to bring this up nice and steady. Take a deep breath, relax, and then finish this up. Wipe out the bottom, because there's a lot of water down there. And if you get in the habit of wiping out the bottom, you won't forget to wipe the bottom out when you make your vessel. I'll also wipe the outside out or off. Okay, so that's how you pull up a cylinder.